Back in 2012, I started paying for a Google account at $5 a month. It was not a big deal. Fast forward a decade and now it's $15. Then $26 per month. That totals $183 per year. For what? 2 terabytes of storage? I'm almost at my limit and data keeps piling up. But that's not the end of it. I added Dropbox in 2016, starting at just $9 a month, then climbing to $99, then $199, and now $210 annually. So far, $1,500, and it's only growing. As a software engineer who is into machine learning, using AI models that process and generate text like ChatGPT and graphics generation, and of course making these videos, I need space for my video backup and large language models. These models are getting huge, they keep getting bigger and bigger. And I finally found a solution for this, a NAS, or Network Attached Storage. It's a device like this one or this one, and it's like having your own private Google Drive or Dropbox, and even Git server. But you own it and you avoid the ongoing fees. Just like Google Drive and Dropbox, you can store your data and you can access it from anywhere on your network or outside of your network. And I had this idea 12 years ago. Also, I bought a NAS. It was my first one ever, and then I promptly broke up with it. It lost all my data, and I thought I was done with NASs for good. Well, this year I finally decided to give NASs another shot, and I bought one from Kickstarter earlier this year. You might have seen it in a video or two. However, my trust issues with that one were still not alleviated when it lost the first batch of data I saved on it. But given that this was the company's first ever NAS, and they're a hardware company mostly, growing pains like this with software are understandable, especially since it was a Kickstarter. Then I tried an all SSD NAS, which is obviously smaller, it's much faster, and it's completely silent because SSDs are solid state. They're quieter and they're smaller than traditional spinning hard drives or HDDs, but unfortunately, they're not cheaper. I couldn't even fit all my data on this NAS here, even if I maxed out the SSDs and went broke, but they're still new. So that's when Synology came along. They sponsored this video and sent me their DS923 Plus. It's a hybrid NAS with spinning hard disks and SSDs, and Synology is a brand that I've heard about for years. They're known for their balance of reliable hardware and enterprise-level software. This is software that's designed for businesses that need high reliability and advanced features. And those enterprise features trickle down to their prosumer devices like this one, so I can use it at home and I can use it in my office for a number of different tasks, and I'm about to show you what it is. And since Synology is a software-first company, they've been doing this for a while with enterprises trusting them with their data, so I can finally be sure that my data will be safe too. Now, my plan for this NAS is to finally implement a 3-2-1 backup strategy. There's lots of backup strategies out there, but 3-2-1 is probably the simplest one to do and the least expensive one. It means having 3 copies of your data, 2 on 2 different storage devices like your computer and your NAS, and 1 being off-site somewhere. It could be in the cloud, or it could even be in a different location in your office building if your office building is large enough. The point is that they're not in the same physical space, so if one catches fire, the other one doesn't. This approach ensures data redundancy and security. So as I mentioned, with this NAS, I get both SSDs, which are set up for cache for hot data, the data that you're most likely using, and it's available very quickly, and it's got traditional spinning disks for the bulk of my data. Now, this thing is running its own Linux-based operating system, and it comes with a huge list of apps they call packages. By the way, you don't need to install a piece of software on your computer to connect to the NAS. It hosts its own server, so you can just connect to it through the browser, which is what I'm doing here. So here you've got control panel, you've got your file station where you access the files, you've got Synology Photos if you want to use it as a photo server, and you got Synology Drive. This is like Google Drive. So you can create folders here, documents, spreadsheets, slides. So let's create a folder called My Stuff. I'm gonna drop an image in there, and there it is. And I can share this with other people that are not internal to my network. So I can send this to my friends and share it with them. I can also access it through the mobile app, the Drive mobile app. There's my folder and my image right there. So if I need to download audio or video or photos or documents on the fly or upload them from my phone, I can do that and they'll end up on my NAS. There's also synchronization options where you can select a folder on your computer to automatically synchronize between your folder and a NAS. The point is that I can now confidently move away from expensive subscriptions, services like Google Drive and Dropbox, which weren't designed for backups in the first place. So I will use this as a backup. I can use it to sync data. I can publicly share files and folders with others. Oh yes, speaking of the packages that are available, I can set up a web server to host my websites and serve them out publicly. I can have different kinds of media server, the one that comes from Synology or Plex, which is a popular open source one. That way I can watch videos and listen to music that are stored on my NAS, and I can do that in my house, share with my family, or do it outside of the house. And I can also set up Git server, so I can host my own source code versioning. Hey, not everybody needs to use GitHub, you know. Let's get into something. Git server. So let's install that, run. Oh, it requires the SSH service to be enabled. So you go to control panel, enable SSH, boom. And now I have a Git server that I'm running just like that within a matter of seconds. Let's open that up. Now it needs to have a location where it's going to save all the files and folders. So let's go to control panel, and under shared folder, I'm going to create a new shared folder. Let's call this Git server. Next, defaults, and Alex, that's my user, so I'm gonna give myself write access, read write access. Alex is under the administrator account. You probably want to create another account that only has access to this, but I'm not gonna go into that much. There's a lot of configuration options that are available to you. It's very powerful, but I'm gonna just show you this, and then you can dig deeper. Now my NAS is on 192.168.1.246, so I can connect to it through SSH under my account, and boom. Now I want to get into the Git server folder. So that's going to be under volume 1, Git server. And I'm going to create a brand new Git repository here. Git init bear, and let's call it my git repo.git. And it was created. There it is. So now there's a Git repository that I can clone, but it doesn't live on my computer. It lives on my NAS. So it's safe, theoretically. So I'll git clone using this command right here. It's kind of like cloning from GitHub, but you're doing it from your NAS. It needs my password, of course. Okay, I did something wrong. Git underscore server, not git dash server. Come on, Alex. You know better than that. You have appeared to clone an empty repository. Sure. So now I work on my code. That's a beautiful hello world right there. Git status. There it is. Git add, git commit, initial commit. And finally, this, git push. Now git push will upload your changes to the origin, which is the NAS. So now if I do git status, your branch is up to date with origin master. So it does stuff like that. It's really freaking cool. Now what about that 3-2-1 backup strategy that I wanted to do? So I'm gonna cheat a little bit and simulate that by using the NAS as the second location and the third location. But because this NAS is accessible just through a web address, I would be able to move it anywhere and synchronize between two different NASs, like this NAS and another Synology NAS, as my backup to the backup. So I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna have my Mac be the first copy, and I'm gonna synchronize that with a backup folder. So I need to create a backup folder. Let's go to File Station. Home is my home folder. So each user has their own home folder. I'm gonna go in here and say create folder called backup. Now I somehow need to synchronize between that folder on the NAS and a folder on my computer. So how do I do that? Well, just like Dropbox has their own client and Google Drive has their own client, Synology also has their own client. You can go to the download center in Synology.com and get the Synology Drive client. Download that, install it. It's available for Windows, 32-bit, 64-bit, Mac, and Ubuntu. I've already done that. And that's what it looks like. When it opens up for the first time, it automatically scans the network and detects that you have one of these, one of the NASs, and it finds its IP address. Now you just gotta log in, and you can create either a backup tasks, which does it once a day or so. But since this is not a desktop, it's a laptop, sometimes I close the lid at night. So I want it to be a sync task. That means that whenever I change things, it's automatically gonna synchronize. Dropbox-like. Now I'm going to select the backup folder on my Synology NAS and a local folder to synchronize to that folder. Synology Drive under my home directory is fine. And this is a nice little feature. Enable on-demand sync to save disk space on your computer. Under advanced, you also have options here like file filters, maximum file size. You have a lot of control over this. And then in sync mode, you can do two-way synchronization or download data from Synology Drive only, or upload data to Synology Drive server only. That means anytime anything changes on your computer, if I select this third option, it'll only upload one way. So if I accidentally delete a file here, or if I do it on purpose, it won't delete my backup copy, which is how I want it. You don't get even this much control with Dropbox. So let's apply that. Done. Now there's my local folder under my user directory, Synology Drive. And let's add this image here, sun rays. I'm doing small images here because they take no time at all to propagate. So I don't have to sit here and wait, but you can do this with larger images too, because I did not set a limit for the size of the files. If we go to Synology Drive, my backup, There is my file right there. You can also access it through your file station, backup. There's the Sunrays file right there. And of course, it's available on my phone too. So I've got phase 1 complete. Phase 2 is to have a job that automatically archives this information from the backup folder. And this would be an example of copying from one NAS to another NAS that's in a remote location. But we're doing it cheating, okay? I'm cheating, I know, but I just want to show you how this works. And you've done this before. Control panel, create a new shared folder. Let's call this one AZ Archive. Next, by the way, you do have other protection options here that I skipped over last time. You can encrypt the data, probably a good idea. You have quotas, you have data integrity. All this control is at your fingertip. And then I'm gonna give myself read-write permissions. But we're not done yet. We need to go to a package center and get something called Hyper Backup. This is a service that runs on the NAS. I already installed it and it's running now. It doesn't have any jobs yet, but I'm gonna add a job. And what do I wanna back up? Either the entire system, which is gonna be everything if you want to just make a clone of your NAS exactly the same way as everything, including the software that's installed on it. But I just want to do a folder, so I'm going to do that. And then do you want to back up to the cloud? Do you want to back up to a remote NAS, which is what I would do, but I want to back up to local shared folder or USB. Yes, since this thing has USB ports on it, you can attach a USB drive and back up to it as well. Or you can back up to Google Drive and then you'll end up paying more money. Why would I do that? Let's stick with local folder. Multiple versions or single version. This is very cool because multiple versions, if you change anything, is going to save the differential. Let's say you have a folder full of files and it's 10 gigabytes and you change one small file, it's intelligently going to save a new version of everything, but it's only saving that difference, that one little file that you changed, but it's saving a whole new version for everything. So if you download the new version, you're gonna get everything, 10 gigabytes worth of data, but with that new change. So very cool option. I'm going to select that. You select the shared folder that you want to use. Get AZ Archive is fine, and then directory. And then next, what do you want to back up? Well, I want to back up my backup folder. Notice you get a little error here. Not an error, but it's like a warning. It says, to ensure reliability of backup, you should have 2 volumes. I created a single volume for the entirety of all the drives, but you could create multiple volumes, and that'll increase your data safety as well. Keep that in mind. I'm not doing that. Now you select what time you want to do it. I want to do it at 3 a.m. That's fine. My NAS is going to be awake. I'll be sleeping, but it can do its job then. And once a week, it's gonna do a data integrity check. Next. Now, eventually, you're gonna need to get rid of some of those old versions. So this will allow you to customize a schedule for when you want to remove the old versions. And done. Backup now? Let's run it. Why not? You only have one small file to copy, so let's do it. Boom, it's finished. So if we take a look at our AZ Archive, we can go to the backup folder and we'll see that we have a backup folder backed up with our Sunrays file in there. And you can go back and forth through time, through different versions, download different versions of that file, and you can download them right from here. So that's what this box can do for you. Now, if you do have this close by, it does have spinning disks in it, and spinning disks make sounds. So if you want to dampen those sounds, I made a video on how to do that. You can watch it right over here. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Synology for sponsoring this video. I'll see you all in the next one.